Throughout history, empires that seemed invincible have crumbled from within. From the halls of Versailles to the streets of St. Petersburg, a familiar pattern emerges, a pattern that some experts now see taking root on American soil. This isn't just a story about the past, it's a stark warning about a possible future. Is the American experiment, once a beacon of stability, now teetering on the edge of a cycle that has brought down giants? We've seen these echoes before, a series of historical tremors leading to a political earthquake. In 18th century France, a chasm grew between a lavish aristocracy and a starving populace, culminating in the storming of the Bastille and the Reign of Terror. A century later, Tsarist Russia mirrored this disparity. The opulent lives of the Romanovs stood in stark contrast to the suffering of workers, fueling strikes that ultimately empowered the Bolsheviks. In Cuba, widespread corruption under Batista's regime ignited a fire of guerrilla warfare, sweeping Fidel Castro into power. The common threads in these monumental shifts are undeniable: extreme inequality, deep-seated social unrest, and a catastrophic loss of faith in the ruling order. This progression isn't random. Historians have identified a six-stage cycle of societal collapse. It begins with the subtle erosion of social cohesion and accelerates dramatically with two key drivers. First, an unfair distribution of wealth creates a society of haves and have-nots, where opportunity becomes a birthright, not a promise. This economic fracture leads to the second driver, a profound loss of public trust. When people believe the system is rigged, that their leaders are corrupt and indifferent to their struggles, the very foundation of government begins to crack. Citizens become disillusioned, protests turn volatile, and the social contract is broken. Today, many observers place the United States firmly at stage 4 of this cycle, a point of precarious balance where the system is under immense strain. The American middle class, long the bedrock of the nation's stability, is shrinking under the weight of soaring costs and stagnant wages. Charts and data visualizations paint a grim picture of income disparity, reaching levels not seen in a century. This economic anxiety is compounded by political paralysis. A deeply divided Congress engages in partisan warfare, leading to legislative gridlock while public frustration mounts. The nation seems caught in a state of suspended crisis, unable to move forward and unwilling to go back. This perilous position leaves the nation vulnerable to the final devastating stages: extremism and civil strife. If the underlying issues of inequality and political decay are not addressed, the path forward could darken considerably. Hypothetical scenarios, drawn from historical precedent, show how social unrest can be co-opted by extremist groups, leading to widespread civil disobedience and, in the worst cases, violent conflict. The slide from a fractured republic into civil war or dictatorship is a well-documented historical process. This isn't a prediction but a warning, a reminder that without meaningful reform, the pressures building within American society could lead to an outcome far worse than the status quo. The future is not yet written, but history offers a clear and urgent lesson. By examining the patterns that led to the downfall of other great nations, we can recognize the dangers we face today. The symbols of American democracy are not just relics of the past. They are a call to action in the present. Securing the future requires a deep and honest reflection on where we stand and a collective commitment to change course before the cycle becomes irreversible. For in the end, understanding history is the only way to avoid repeating it.